Well, welcome back to Between Meetings and Motherhood podcast. I'm your host, Alexa Starks. I'm the editor-in-chief of Motherhood Magazine. And today I have with me the fabulous Sarah Lucas, who has so much experience in childhood education and is the author of a phenomenal new book called Atomic Parenting. So welcome to the show, Sarah.
Oh, thank you. What a welcome. Wow.
Yes, and you're being featured in our July issue of Motherhood Magazine. So if you're listening to this, you can read more of her interview at motherhoodmagazine.com. And Sarah, I want to start with, take me back to the beginning of your expertise. So you have like 25 plus years in childhood education, and then you decided to write a book about everything. So tell me a little bit more about your experience in teaching, what grades that were, what that was like, and then why you decided now to write a book about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it started if I'm honest, I think my passion for children started even beyond, before, should I say, studying, and before taking my passion into the classroom. Even when I was like 9 or 10 years old, my mum spotted it in me. My mum always said, "You're going to be a teacher. You're going to be a teacher." Mums are great at this, right? They're great. And I was kind of like, no, I just want to ride my horses. I was big into horses. And I just wanted to ride, and that was it, you know. But actually, as years went on, I discovered, as I went through my teen years, I just loved being around children. I was like a mother hen, you know. If ever we went to dinner parties and there were kids there, I was like the babysitter and just loved being around kids, really. And then I decided that's what I wanted to study. It helped me definitely find my path, and I saw that's really what I wanted to do. So I studied, qualified as a teacher, and then I have taught always, funnily enough, in the school where I studied here in Spain. I studied here.
Oh, how funny.
I did my GCSEs and A-levels, which is the British style education, over here in Spain, and then went away and qualified. And then they took me on and employed me once I'd qualified as a teacher. So I kind of feel like I've always been at home, I guess, in my employment. And well, I mean, I've been working there for 25 plus years, as you said at the beginning. And I guess always through the years, Alexa, parents have always said to me at parents' evenings, at the school gate, you know, asking for advice. They've always said to me, "Sarah, you need to put this in a book, because that tip you gave was so helpful. You know, it just resonated what you said. Put it into a book, you know." At school, we often do workshops. We're always talking to parents and giving conferences and different things. And they were like, "Put it into a book." So it kind of stuck there, maybe one day. But I was always so busy, you know, working full time as a teacher. It's not a 40-hour week. It's a lot more than that. Right. I mean, most jobs are, right? We sign up for hours. And I think when it's a vocational job, as well as teaching is, you put your heart and your soul into it, from the sidelines, from backstage. It's not just what you see at the front. And of course, then I had my own 2 children. And I was just too busy I couldn't even contemplate writing a book. Right. And then the pandemic hit. So we're going to fast forward to 2020. And I was online. Any teacher who taught online, please, I take my hat off to you all. We were in the training. I mean, we weren't the only ones, you know, all the doctors, nurses, etc. But as we're talking about teaching, I was online, and I had my students and my parents through the screen, and I could see we were thrown into such an unusual situation, because normally we have so much backup, you know. Normally we have, I mean, they say it takes a village to raise children, right? But we don't have a village anymore. But we at least have grandparents or aunts and uncles or cousins, you know. There's normally some kind of help, and we didn't have it. And these poor parents, honestly, I could see when we were talking that they were just tearing their hair out. And I wish I had the book, the manuscript, on a PDF. I would have sent it to them and said, "Have it for free. I don't want any money for it. Just take my help," you know? So that's really where the idea was born from. Then I really thought, I have to write this book. I've got to write it.
I love this so much. Wow. Okay. What ages did you teach? What class? What did you teach?
Yeah, I've always been in primary. So in our system, that's from 3 to 11. But my expertise is definitely early childhood. So the infants up until the age of about 6 or 7. That's where my expertise absolutely is, even though the book is aimed at really primary children. As soon as they're kind of toddling through their primary years, elementary, they say in the US, I believe.
Yes, yeah. It is interesting because here in the Netherlands, we're getting our son ready for primary school because it starts at 4, and it's very different system than the US system, which is nice. That's why we moved. But
Yes.
okay, so tell me, so now your kids are older, they're teenagers, right? So how has any of your approach to parenting really changed from that primary early childhood years to now that they're teenagers, especially now that you've literally written the book on it?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's something I have reflected on, because obviously it changes. It does change. And I am not a teenage expert. I consider myself primary children is my expertise, right? So I've been learning on the game with my teenagers. But, a lot applies the same way, it's just that you're coming at it from a different angle. I think that the hardest part for me, transitioning from the primary years to the teenage years, is learning that you're not in the driving seat anymore. You're the co-pilot, so you're beside, and you've got to kind of let go of the steering wheel and let them shift through the gears. And you can give your advice, but ultimately I've definitely learned that you've really got to let them work it out, and I think we're so keen as parents, even with the little ones, they benefit from this. We want to prevent them from running into a wall. We want to prevent them from the fall. It's our protective instinct. And I think that the older they grow, the more you have to ease off with that. Absolutely. You've got to let them work it out.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because letting go is so difficult, and letting go of that control. And I feel like I just had this experience happen with my kids. They're at the same age, they're at such a similar close age where they can be in the same daycare class of 2 through 4. And so I was like super excited because great efficiency. I get the same drop-off room, same pickup room. They get to play together. It was amazing. And then they recently opened up a new 3.5 and up room to get kids ready for primary school and do more like older big kid activities. And so they moved my son there. And my first thought was, oh, they're not going to be able to play together. I'm kind of disappointed. We'll have to do 2 separate drop-off spots. I mean, it's the same daycare location, but like 2 different rooms. And then we picked up our daughter last week, and the teacher was like, oh, she has just blossomed so much into like her big personality. Whereas before, she would look to her brother, see what he was doing, kind of follow him around. If she was upset about something, she would look to him for comfort. And she would only do an activity if he was doing it too. Whereas now she's like the most vocal, loudest, cheerful, singing, adorable, like first to raise her hand, leads the group. And it's just been, the teacher's like, it's amazing to see her blossom without her brother here. And I was like, I've been holding her back, thinking that they need to be together. And when I have to learn to let go, it's a hard skill. How do you, is that something that you had to reckon with? And is that part of the parenting techniques that you teach in your books, is like really how you give your kids that freedom and that independence?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, luckily with my background in teaching, I have had lots of experience with parents coming to me. They're very nervous, right? First time parents, they're going through all these things first time. And because I'm working with these children all day long, I'm used to putting their mind at rest and saying, this is okay. This is all normal stuff. Don't worry, trust the process, So I guess I've been able to apply it to my own children for sure in their early years. The difference for me as they go into their teen years is it's where the dangers set in, right? Because you're giving them control. And, we are living in a world where I think because we have these in our pockets, we're informed of all the dangers constantly that are going on across. We hear every single one. You used to hear it in a news bulletin of 20, 30 minutes, but now it's constantly, you hear every single bit of news. And it makes us very nervous about letting our child, go down the street to buy a loaf of bread or go to the shopping mall, which was stuff we all used to do before. And I think I've made a conscious effort to think, no, come on, you've got to, okay, you're not going to send them off into a dodgy district with gangs hanging around. But, within reason, you've got to really think logically. And our children need freedom. They need freedom to learn. They really do. And I think we live in a parenting culture now where I get it. Parents are very nervous about that, very nervous about that.
Yeah. What's been the easiest phase of parenting for you?
The easiest phase, that's a good question as well. I would say that each phase has its easy bits and its difficult bits, right? I think I would say I'm in a pretty good phase now where my kids are 15 and 17, where I've got used to now. I mean, my daughter, she's actually going to be 16 like next month. I mean, they're at an age now where I've kind of moved into the co-pilot seat and so much more independent. I can see that they are developing into little adults, you know, and the really nice part about this stage is you can see that everything you've invested, all that we do as parents, it's starting to come together, you know. So I'd say it's probably the easiest right now because they're not dependent on me for everything anymore, which makes life
yes. I mean, it'll be nice when I don't have to wipe any more butts. That's something to look forward to. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I think we're all pretty glad when we get out of that phase.
Oh, I was not prepared for how hard potty training would be. And just for like, my son took a solid 6 months and my daughter has taken a month and a half. And so that's been really great. But then she'll just get distracted by it. But I think that's part of this misleading, like, you know, those books of, the 3-day weekend, keep your underwear off for the toddler, potty training in a 3-day weekend, right? Yes. And it's very misleading. We did that, but then there's everything that comes after it of the consistency in getting to use the potty in public places and wiping and just everything that comes after it. So take me through how your book is real and practical and grounded in reality and truth and not potty training in 3 days.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what I tried to do is I've read many parenting books through my life, through my career. I've had parents come to me with parenting books they've read. And what I did, I wanted to obviously make a book that really solved as many problems in parenting as within one book, because I think it's so easy to think we need this book to show our child how to sleep. We need this book to show them how to develop self-confidence. We need this book to show them how to become good communicators. You know, we could have a whole bookshelf of parenting books that we don't even really have time to read, unfortunately, because that's the way it is. That's the reality. So I wanted to make a book that had all the most common topics that parents come to me with year after year, because every year they come with the same topics. You know, things have changed in recent years, perhaps we can talk about that after maybe, but that was the idea. I wanted it all in one book, make it compact, and I wanted to make it so that it was easy to read, fun to read, not a book where you felt like you were being preached to, not a book where you felt like you had a load of jargon that you weren't understanding. A book that you could really relate to, like we're having a chat now, but it just so happens that I've got a lot of experience in raising children, in child development, and things you can do to help with the process. So the book is kind of divided into all these most common topics, whether it is potty training, whether it's sleeping, whether it's getting them to try new foods, get on with their sibling, night terrors, divorce. I cover bereavement, all those things that I've had experience with over the years. And they're written in newsletter style, Alexa.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I went for that style because I felt we do read newsletters about things we're interested in. And so it always starts with a little narrative about, if I'm talking about fussy eaters, for example, I'll talk about my experience with eaters with my own kids, with my students, observation, things I've read about. Try to add a bit of humor. I think humor is a life jacket in parenting.
Yes, it is.
It's just saved me, you know, on so many occasions. And I see parents when we do it's so much easier. And then I go into actionable tips based topic that you can use today. So if your child is waking up every morning at 4:30 a.m., I'll talk you through it and then give you some tips. Try this for the next few days, and this should help you. You know, so that's the idea with the book.
Ah, that's amazing. Okay, can you share maybe a couple of like the best or biggest actionable pieces of advice for listeners?
Wow, this is, I mean, it's a big book, right? I mean, I've got it here. So it's a proper book. You can see the thickness. There's a lot of advice in there. But I would say, number one, trust your instinct.
Mm-hmm.
If I had one piece of advice, the first would be that one. Trust your instinct. I think parents today are so inundated with information about how to parent that we're just losing touch with our own instincts. Parents are coming to me with things that they didn't used to come to me about before, and it's we're second guessing everything now. It's like, I think they've got their instinct, and it's like, I'm just going to check that with the teacher because I'm not sure. And then, you know, on social media, you've got so many conflicting opinions about what you should parent, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. So I think that's probably the one main message is what I want to achieve is to get parents back in touch with their instinct. And the second one is I want to lower the bar. We need to simplify things. We've got this pressure again about these poor parents. You know, I've had parents come to me in tears because the pressure, the standards are just not realistic. Children don't need all this that's being thrown at parents. You know, we've been led to believe that a tip-top full schedule and perfect parent shows you're doing the job right. And it's so much more simple than that. So I want to simplify parenting, replace perfection with reflection, maybe, because we're going to make so many mistakes. We do. I've made tons, and I promise you my kids have turned out well. And, you know, that's the way it goes. It's reflecting on mistakes, repairing them. So, I would say that in touch with your instincts again as parents, and reflection over perfection. Just take the pressure off.
I love this so much because I talk about lowering the bar as well as a good thing, that our expectations as a society and that have been perpetuated throughout media are of the perfect mother. Perfect balance of healthy foods and outdoor playtime and never having any sort of emotional dysregulation on your own, and just this myth of like the perfect mother, and anything short of perfection you internalize as your own failures. Absolutely. And you have to lower the bar of expectations almost as like a minimum viable day. Like, what's the bare minimum that you could do to have happy, loved, fulfilled life, and kids who go to sleep happy, you know, go to sleep knowing they're loved, they eat, right? And just
it is that though, reality, because otherwise we're not projecting reality. And you know, you could flip to the other side. If we're projecting this perfection onto them, that we are setting the unrealistic bar to them. You know, you see so many posts now about if you shout at your child, you know, you're going to set them of trauma. And of course, we don't intend to raise our children by shouting at them every day. That's But if you shout at them once, you know, these poor parents beat themselves up thinking that they're going to undo years of love by doing that. And they're going to be in therapy just because they lost it one afternoon. And they're not. They're really not, you know. Kids just need us to be there. That's what they need. They know that they've got someone that loves them unconditionally with all their warts and all, you know.
Yes, absolutely. And I've had to do that a few times where I have to apologize to mostly my son, because my daughter's not quite old enough yet, but apologize for, like, I'm sorry for snapping, because I'll just, in the moment, it's just too much, and the overstimulation, and it just gets you with all the toddler tantrums and meltdowns, and especially with them being so close, it's like they'll both melt down and like set each other off sometimes.
It's the way it goes. It can all be going so fast, it just falls apart.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna melt down too now, so sorry. We're just all three of us.
But it's great to apologize. That's it, you know. It's repair. I think that's so important. I think of the pressure that's on parents about how, you know, you must never do that, never get it wrong, do this, do that. They're almost reluctant to apologize because it's admitting, I did what I'm absolutely not supposed to do, you know. Whereas if we could normalize, you are going to shout sometimes. You are going to serve them cereal for dinner sometimes because you have to do the shopping. And, you know, you are going to let them sit for an extra 10 minutes in front of the TV because you have just had it up to here today. You know, it's realizing this stuff. Make us more human, really, because it's unfair standards.
It is. And I talk about this of like the balance of long term, right? Some days you're going to be great and show up as 100% good at motherhood, right? And other days it's less. And other days your kids eat pancakes for dinner and breakfast. And other days they eat vegetables fine. And if you look at it by the micro moments of the day to day and moment to moment, it's much easier to be more critical on yourself than it is if you look at the long-term balance of, hey, my kids go to sleep every night knowing they're loved. And my kids went to sleep with a full stomach. And tomorrow we can try again for better or do things differently. But you have to have that more balance of a long-term viewpoint. And the less you stress over the micro, the more you enjoy it, motherhood and parenting.
Yeah, that's it. And I love how you've said as well, you know, tomorrow we can get this better. There's always a tomorrow and the next day when you can come back and you can do it better than you did today, which I love as well. You know, it's so important. And what you've just said about enjoying as well, you know, it does make it less enjoying when we're having all this. It's less enjoyable, you know, it's the way it is. And also allowing for it to be less enjoyable because there's so much, you know, we've only got 18 summers with them. We've only got 10 years while they believe Father could enjoy every minute because they're going to be gone. But again, it's a pressure. I get this is coming from a good place, but I don't think it has a healthy impact on parents because there are parts of parenthood that are, from my point of view, not enjoyable. You know, I don't enjoy it when they're all melting down and, you know, trying to get them back on an even keel. I didn't enjoy being woken several times a night when I was breastfeeding. I loved breastfeeding in the day, but in the night I really would have paid if someone could have just done it for me. Right? I mean, I needed my sleep. So I think it's also being able to admit that, say, I didn't enjoy that, but I'm still a good parent, you know?
Yeah. And that's hard with social media. I mean, when I scroll through Instagram, it's like perfection, perfection, perfection. Someone's fully put together. They look like they slept 12 hours with a full face of makeup and hair done. And, you know, they show up and I'm like, how do you do that? That's not realistic. And then
like the Von Trapp family, you know?
Yes. And then you just set yourself up for unrealistic expectations when that's what you see and consume on social media. So we need more of this real examples and real stories of motherhood is not a perfection highlight reel. It's hard sometimes.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. I think it's one of the hardest jobs we do. You know, parenthood it's one of the most rewarding, most beautiful jobs I wouldn't change for the world, but it's really, really hard. But it's meant to be. I think it's meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah. We're raising the next generation. It's not an easy job if you care about it. It's not easy.
Exactly. That's it. And this is the thing. I think this is exactly what I say to parents when they come and they're so upset. They've got it wrong, you know, literally in tears. My heart goes out to these parents when they say, you know, I've had such a bad week. My husband's away working and I've really lost it. And it's like, it's okay. You know, you're here, you're caring about that. That just tells everything to me. I've heard everything I need to hear, you know?
Yeah. So now that your kids are older, they're teenagers, what didn't you get to include in the book that if you could add more to it now that your kids are a little older, what would you add? Are there any lessons now that you have this insight?
Yes, I mean, I think I would definitely perhaps lead a little bit more into the tween years because, as I say, mine is more focused on the primary, so up to about the age of 11. Although people that have read it have said to me, I'm totally going to use this on my teen years. I'm even going to use this on me as an adult because there's so many values, so many lessons that we try to instill in children that as adults, we sometimes haven't learned them yet ourselves, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I guess I would maybe go down that route of just perhaps extending it a bit further, the transition. Maybe I would allow myself the privilege because I don't consider myself an expert in this area, but the privilege of including my journey from primary to swapping from that driver's seat to that co-pilot seat, you know, just to share my experience.
How have you experienced, because I'm right in the middle of toddlerhood, how have you experienced with toddlers, you have to do a lot of emotional co-regulation, right? To teach them how to emotionally regulate. How has that translated to raising teenagers? Because again, they go through this huge hormonal shift and emotions are all over the place, or at least they were for me when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So has there been how has that looked?
Yeah, it is. I mean, they also have to, as you've just said, their hormones are all over the place. And I see it with my own children when they just can't cope with a boundary being held or something they want to do. I mean, it gets a lot more serious because you're talking about parties where you're checking out where these parties are being held, you know, in houses where they're selling illegal tickets to get, you know, it gets a lot more serious. Right? And yeah, you do have to just, it's the same thing, but just put into older language, if that makes sense. You know, it's hearing them, validating, like, you know, yeah, I get it. You know, you're really frustrated because your friends are going to this party. You want to buy the ticket, but I have to keep you safe. Ultimately, our job is the same. We have to keep our kids safe. And there's some things like I said to you earlier, where I know they're going to trip up and I'll say, well, okay, look, I don't think you should do it. You do want to do it. Go and try and see. But when it's something where you clearly know the police are going to turn up and there's going to be arrests happening, you're not going. And then they learn what you predicted was going to happen. They hear about it. Their friends go through it. And you were right. The police did turn up at that house. And thank goodness you told me not to go, Mum. So it's kind of a combination maybe. But I think science is very similar. I think similar science, just at a different level.
Yeah, that's so interesting, which is great news for me because I'm in the middle of with practicing our deep breathing. Breathe in, breathe out.
It's great. That's up the mountain, down the mountain, up the mountain. It's great.
Yeah, we make it funny if that's not working. And my son, it's usually my son. He's the more emotional one. If it's not working to do deep breathing, I'll make it funny. I'll be like, and that usually immediately cuts the tantrum, and he'll giggle.
Distracting from it, deflecting. Yeah, these are great strategies. You know, you'll still, you know, you'll be able to deflect when they get older too. I mean, for me, the biggest, I would say, obstacle I've got now, my teenagers are the age they are, is screens. For me, screens is, you know, social media, screen time. I would say that's the biggest thing for me, which I'm sure you see it's all over social media. It's real.
Yeah. So how do you have any limitations on it? Are they allowed to have social media?
Yeah, they have. They've both got social media. I mean, my daughter, she has had it earlier than what they're saying now. Of course, my children kind of got it. I'd say my children, when they went to secondary school. So once they were 12, they did get a phone. They did not have phones until smartphones or phones, any type of phone or anything, until they were in secondary school. But when they're in secondary school, yes. If I could turn back time, I would definitely keep them off social media now until what they're saying, like 15, 16, because I think 12 is too young. We know a lot more about it now. So don't let yours go on until they're, you know, above 12.
Yeah, it's just so influential on especially for girls, on your self-confidence and self-esteem. It's just brutal.
Yeah, but you know, boys too, you know, Alexa, because we do tend to home in on the girls, but these boys are just sold messages all the time about, you know, they've got to have a 6-pack, a fast car, a pack of money, they can get the girl they want. That the important thing is, and this is my humble advice, because I'm by no means an expert in this field, but with my teens, I've learned to involve yourself in it. My teens, they want to show me who they're following, show me videos, and it's so easy to kind of, you know, go, oh yeah, right, you're not maybe interested in what they're, you know, looking at, but show interest and get involved in it, see who they're following, talk about it. I think that's really important.
Okay. Yeah. I think, especially because as I'm raising my toddlers, there's so much that I want to do differently than how my parents raised me. And that's one of them, is building that trust-based relationship
Yeah,
where they can come to me about anything, they can open up about anything, and that they're safe to do so. And I think that's so important, especially with social media, is if you feel unsafe about something, if you are being bullied online, if someone's
yeah,
doing something inappropriate, like, you can always come to me and talk
absolutely.
about it.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, that's the kind of thing you want to establish from the very beginning, isn't it? The open
Hmm.
channels of communication, which are
Yeah.
important for everything, not just social media, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so your book is out. It's on your website, Atomic Parenting.
Yes.
What's next? What's your next big move after this?
Well, the next thing is that the book's going to be translated into Spanish. It's being translated literally as we
Exciting.
speak. So I've got the Spanish edition coming out in the end of September, which I'm really
Hmm.
excited about. So then we'll have the English and Spanish edition. And then it's the movement that's coming behind it, Alexa. I want
Hmm.
to create a type of, it's like I suppose, to compare it, for want of a comparison, a bit like a TED Talk kind of platform with
Uh-huh.
just educational lens. So just in the world of education and parenting. So I
Hmm.
want to bring experts to Malaga. I'll provide the platform where they can give talks and get the community to come and benefit from these people's expertise. We're launching it in November. On the 21st of November is going to be our first event, and we have Carl Honore. He's going
I
to
don't
be
know who that is, but that sounds exciting.
yeah, Carl Honore is he's a international author. If you look him up, he was
Okay.
you probably know the slow movement. You probably heard of the slow movement. He's like the godfather of the
Yeah.
slow movement. He's got a lot of insight into how the world has become so fast, and how when we slow down, we're actually more productive. It's not the reverse of what people think. And he's brought that into childhood, into parenting, about how children are very much, as you said earlier on in the conversation, how they feed off of our nervous systems. They also feed off of our speed. So if we're running from one thing to the next, we've got to go here, we've got to go there, they do the same. And I've seen that huge shift in classrooms. Children are really feeding off of the speed, and they really need to be given kind of relief off of the accelerator, and we need a compass. We need to see where we're going, speed we're going. You know, I can see a huge shift in the children that come into my classroom. So I'm really excited for him to come and share his expertise with this. He's going to come
That's
to our
incredible.
school. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that's in Malaga, in
Yes.
Spain.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so exciting. I love it. And I'm actually, I mean, I don't know that I have anything going on in November. I'd love to come to it.
Oh, well,
Come to
please
the
do. I'm in
event.
Europe, so that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
25th of November.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I mean, you look this guy, look Carl's work up. You'll love it. Being a mother, I mean, it sounds like you've also experienced the speed of life and just how we're pulled in so many different directions. His whole perspective is, I wish that we could just expose it to the whole world, you know, because I think we could learn so much. And get childhood back on track. I feel childhood's being robbed of these poor children. I really do.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. So you raised your kids in Spain. You're
Yeah.
originally from the UK. My kids will predominantly be Dutch as far as they consider themselves, because we moved when they were so young. So I'm curious if any of the lessons and teachings in your book, and what you've noticed as an educator, if the similarities or differences, like across cultures, raising kids in Spain versus, I know the US is very different, and that fast-paced lifestyle is very common in the US. Here in the Netherlands, it's a little bit slower, I think,
Yeah.
but I haven't really fully experienced that yet. So I'm curious if you've noticed what you know about the cultural differences, if any of that comes into play in your book, or if it's all just like universal truths.
Yeah, I mean, I work in an international college, so I do get the experience of so many different cultures. You know, we've got so many nationalities in the school. I would say, a bit like you have experienced there in the Netherlands. Here in Spain, I would say we're probably not quite as bad as if you were to go to London or New York, as you said, where it's like, you know, everything's just rush, 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 rush.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're going that way.
Hmm.
That's really why I feel so passionate about kind of stopping it before we go too far. You know, it's like if you gain, you know, 10 pounds of weight, it's better to get rid of it then, rather than gain another 50, and then you've got
Right.
a bigger job on your hands, you know. So I think here we're still at a point where we're going to be able to salvage it if we become conscious of it, kind of create a community where people can experience it, reflect on it, be given tools to act upon it, feel more powerful to go against the pull of speed that there is. Well, because there's such a pull of speed, and there is here. I don't know if you feel it with your kids in school. We very much, parents feel like they need to be signing them up for every extracurricular activity. They hit the ground running, these kids. Literally a few weeks ago, it was such a coincidence, because I had just kind of sorted out the deal with Carl Honore coming down here, you know, godfather of slow, as I said to you. And I was in a cafe, and there was a lady sitting, and she was very heavily pregnant, and she had just a short tank top and her lovely pregnant tummy. It was beautiful. And she had these kind of like pads on, and I thought, gosh, they may be monitoring her contractions, you know, maybe she's going to give birth. I might have to go over and assist, you know. And I was looking, and I think she noticed I was looking, and I didn't want her to feel uncomfortable that I was staring. I was going to say, look, I was just looking. It's beautiful how pregnant you are. And I said, I was just looking at the pads. Is that to monitor your contractions? And she said, no, my baby's listening to classical music. And I was, oh, and she was almost a bit offended that I didn't know, you know, and I Googled it straight away. And yes, these things exist. You can even record your voice and get your baby listening in the womb. And it's like, I feel like there's a pressure to kind of create these children rather than children create themselves. Just if that makes sense. It's like, let's get them listening to Mozart, and they're going to be super intelligent. And as soon as they come out and they can talk, let's get them into Mandarin and robotics, and let's get, you know, it's kind of just let children be, slow down. And I feel really passionate about it because I've seen a huge change, huge.
I love that. I love that so much, because we haven't put our kids in activities really yet, but we were thinking of starting our son in like toddler soccer, and our daughter, they have like a dance lessons because she loves singing and dancing. But we've also just had play dates on weekends, and we just hang out and play, and we'll meet up with friends, mom friends with similar age kids at the park, and we'll just hang out there for 2 hours, and we're just not rushing it so much. And in the US, it's very much like you have to have activities all day, every weekend, all weekend, and that's exhausting. Like, I want to take a nap just hearing about it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. That's exactly it, though. You know, and that's why often when I see it when these children come into school on a Monday morning, they are so wired. As the week progresses, they get better, and then they're tired by Friday. So Friday's normally a day where it's okay. It's been a heavy week getting up early every morning. So you see it Friday. But interestingly, on Monday, they'll come in so wired because I think they've done so much over the weekend.
Yeah, that's interesting that they show up wired and not exhausted.
Yeah, but you know, you probably realize with your children yourself, when they get overtired, often it's then hard. They don't, they're not us where we're just like, oh, you know, I could sleep on a clothesline literally sometimes, you know, have a nap here now while I'm on a call with you. But children don't. They get that second, third, fourth wind of energy.
Yeah, so true. I'm living that with my daughter right now, refusing to go to sleep at night. So
are you?
That's a fun one. Yeah, I think it's a combination of dropping her nap or not needing as much of a nap during the day, and her molars coming in, and she's just excited. And part of it's also she only wants my husband at night, and which is great for me, so I don't have to do bedtime for her. I'll just, you know, give her a hug goodnight. But then he is a sucker for, you know, anything daddy daughter time, so he'll just be like, oh, you want to stay up and hug some more and snuggle some more? Okay. And then takes an hour to put her down.
and children are so clever with that.
Yeah, she can see it. Okay, I want to wrap this up with, if you could wave a magic wand and achieve anything, what would be this big next goal? What would you want to achieve? Big goal. Wave a magic wand. Anything.
It would really be my biggest mission is to get the help that I have to offer, from all my career, more than 25 years in the classroom. I really want to get it beyond these four walls now, just get it as far into the world as I can, because I think I can really make a difference with the book and with the movement that's behind it, just getting childhood back on track, slowing childhood down, getting the essence of childhood back. If I could do that, mission accomplished.
Oh, I love it so much. And on that note, where can we find more about you and your book?
Well, you can go onto my website, atomicparenting.net. And my book is for sale. You've got the links on there, but it's in all the Amazon stores as well. And interesting, my children just pointed out to me the other day, oh, Mum, if you type Atomic Parenting Sarah Lucas into Google, loads of stuff comes up. I literally just discovered 2 days ago. And my Instagram, Alexa, my Instagram story is it's been an interesting one. I'm amazed with Instagram. I was a social media dinosaur, but if you go on to atomic_parenting, my Instagram account's on there. You can follow. I do loads of videos, carousels, loads of content to help parents and create a community on there. And I've only been on there for 4 months, but we're nearly at 10,000. So
wow, that's amazing.
I'm blown away because it's been like the blind leading the blind. I was clueless, but we're out. We're out there. Take a look.
I love it. That's amazing. Well, if you're listening to this, I will link to all of this in the description of where to find Sarah and her Atomic Parenting book. And if you're listening to this, that means the July issue of Mothered Magazine has come out. So you can read more of Sarah's fabulous work and her story and her ambition and journey in our July issue at motheredmagazine.com. Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us. It's been an absolute amazing pleasure talking with you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.